Hello and welcome to iQuanta's YouTube channel. Today I will discuss strategy that always works. And the strategy is to understand the importance of CAT PYQs, previous year questions. Okay, so first of all, I'll try to tell you the pattern. So whenever you attempt the previous year questions, the first thing that comes to your mind is identifying the pattern. Patterns are everywhere, isn't it? Patterns in CAT will be identifiable, but the problem is there is an irony which says the only thing that is certain in CAT is uncertainty, just like life. So CAT is very much similar to life. It's kind of synonymous to life. And when I say there is a test of life, then the test is CAT only. Well, and there's no fixed pattern, syllabus or thought process that is used while creating the CAT questions, and that is the reason CAT is considered to be one of the most difficult exams on this planet. But having said that, can we actually find the order in chaos? Chaos is a mathematical term which says everything in this world is chaotic. Things are random, So, for example, if I am moving my pen like this here, it might create some whirl in the air atmosphere might change, the pressure might change, and this pressure might extrapolate to the sheets which are there in the studio. The sheets might get compressed by a nanometer, and that can create some kind of disturbance in the entire scheme of things in universe. That's what chaos theory means. Okay, and it's random. So whenever things are random, we don't see it clearly, but still, as I told you, the example of chaos from my pen, like I move it, some kind of order is there. The order is something which we need to realize, need to identify, that can be done only through solving CAT previous year questions. Well, and for that, we have curated playlist. Like this one is there, Quant Topics. You can just, click on this card here and you can actually look at this playlist. Same with LRDI Bicharcha, in which I have discussed about LRDI. I have analyzed statistically all previous year papers from last 6 years which are relevant to CAT. If we go to 25 years papers, it won't be relevant because whatever is was asked in like 20 years back, now it is no more relevant. I have seen people who have, scored a lot 20 years back, but now it seems that things have completely changed. CAT is becoming difficult. IQ of humans is increasing, In 1920s, there was a very famous puzzle by Einstein. People said only 7 people can solve it across the world. But nowadays, if someone is preparing for CAT, he or she can solve it within 10 minutes. IQ has definitely increased, and so has education. Well, so in these videos, we have discussed a different thing based on the patterns that is there, and what all topics are relevant, what topics are have more weightage, what are important, what is doable, and what is not. So I suggest you go through this video, but before that, you need to understand that what PYQ can do for you. Okay, so sections, as you might be aware of, the 3 sections, that is VARC, LRDI, and QA. When I say VARC, it means verbal ability and reading comprehension. Verbal ability, it's a subsection of VARC. Reading comprehension, subsection of, again, VARC. So in RC, you get 4 sets, 4 unseen passages with 4 questions each, which makes it 16 questions. And verbal ability, you'll get 8 questions divided in different kind of subtopics. For example, para-jumbles can be there, odd one out can be there, fill in the blanks can be there, and para-summaries can be there. So once you go through PYQs, you will identify following 4 things. One is type of questions that are asked in RC. Type of questions. What does that mean? We have created an ingenious VARC module, which is available in the dashboard of iQuanta students. But you can go through it to realize, understand everything. But now I'll tell you what type of questions are asked in RC. The most common question is inferential questions, inference-based questions. So when we say inference, what does that mean? Inference is like, if I say, let me draw a diagram. So there is a statement A, okay, and A leads to another statement B. Okay, it somehow leads to B. So I can say that B can be inferred from A. A will be given in the passage and B will be given in the problem statement, the question. So if you look at the question, you'll realize B can be inferred from A. right? That is inference. And there is one more statement C, which is unrelated to A or B, then this cannot be inferred. By the way, there's one more thing which people should be keeping in mind. If statement A is given in the passage and in the options, in the options there is no other statement like B or C here, the only statement that is given which can be relevant is A itself. I'm explaining it to you again. Something is mentioned explicitly in the passage, and in the options only that thing is there, nothing else is there which looks like a correct option, then A will be correct option. Which means, what I'm trying to say, people say that inference is basically derivation of unknown from something that is known. Well, it's true, but derivation of something that is known from something that is known is also an inference. So if I say, my name is Abhishek Leela Pandey, I have scored 99.93 percentile in CAT overall. Can you infer my name is Abhishek Leela Pandey? Of course you can. Can you infer I have scored 99.93 percentile in CAT overall? Of course you can infer. So these statements are explicitly mentioned and still you can infer them. If I say Leela might be my mother's name, can you infer that? Probably no, because there is no other statement given to you. So inference-based questions are something which are most common. In fact, 50% of all the questions are inference-based. How do I know it? Because I've analyzed my PYQs clearly, and that is what you need to do. Well, genre of RC. There can be a lot of genre. For example, business economics. You're preparing for MBA, business economics is a very favorite genre. Then we have history, arts and culture, science, technology. It can be environment. It can be philanthropy, anthropology. All that stuff is there. It can be mixed also. For example, if back in, let's say, before Christ, there was some text written. So literature and history, two different genres can be combined. Also, if I talk about domestication or animal husbandry back in the ancient ages, then again, history, anthropology, and at the very same time, environment and culture all are mixed in this. So they can be different kind of genre and majorly they are mixed. We don't get a passage which is purely of one genre. That rarely happens. So that is something which you need to understand, which can be done only by analyzing the PYQs. And this also gives you insight into one thing. Let's say you are an engineering student. You have read all the mathematics, all the technology, all the science. You are aware about what is happening in the world of technology throughout the world, be it artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. But you are somehow not interested in knowing about the history, right? Einstein once said history should not be, taught because it can always be referred to from the books. Makes sense? Yes, makes sense. So people who are engineers, who are into technical background, they don't like reading about history much or literature much or art society much. It's not universal, but it normally happens. So people would feel kind of discouraged from looking at the genre of RCs in CAT. They will say, I am engineer, how would I solve something of history? There will be people who are from literature background, humanities. They would say, oh, I have read literature, I know about history, I know social science, I know polity. How would I know something like artificial intelligence? Well, the thing is, even if all these things are there, you have interest in certain thing and not in certain other, that doesn't really matter. I tell you why. What matters is whether you can gather important information to solve the questions which are there. And that is why I have written types of questions before genre of RC, because this is more important, right? So even if you don't know much about that particular genre, that doesn't really matter, because your universe while solving that RC is that RC only and nothing else. You don't need to understand what is reverse repo rate in case it is not given in the RC. Okay, so now theta questions. Theta questions do not have negative marking. Theta means type in the answer. In the CAT exam, what happens? There will be a blank space, a box in which you will fill the values. The values are numerical. It's never alphabetical or alphanumeric. It's always numerical. So theta questions, you will understand that there are 6 theta questions, 8 theta questions, depending on if you analyze your PYQs properly. And then LOD is level of difficulty. So you will get to know that what kind of difficulty level is there in different years, and is there a proper reasoning to that? Certain things become difficult. Is there reasoning? Do they want to, kind of reject people, or do they want to select the best managers according to the given circumstances in the business and economics world. Like for example, I'll tell you what, these days, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data structures, all this stuff is very common. It is creating huge job market. What is required over there? Do you need programming? Of course you need programming, but more than that, you require logic and mathematical intelligence. And that is why LRD is becoming difficult year by year. That is something which you can realize if you analyze the PYQs properly. Coming to LRDI, there's logical reasoning and data interpretation. So data interpretation. Data is represented in different forms: bar charts, pie charts, histograms, column graphs, scatter plots, stacked histograms. There can be n number of ways to represent data, and from that data you need to interpret important information to solve the given questions. That is DI. LR is logical reasoning. Sounds simple. Logical reasoning. Okay. Now logical reasoning can be composed of so many different topics that is uncountable. Seriously, it's uncountable. Okay, arrangements are there, selection is there, you can have games and tournaments, you can have topics like quant-based reasoning, or fill in the tables, missing points, all that things can be there. But still, there is a possibility that you can create a new puzzle out of nowhere, which will not be lying in any kind of sub-concept. That is possible in LR, and that is the reason we need to look at the CAT PYQs, types of puzzles, and get to know that what exactly you have to do. By the way, I also tell you what needs to be done once you realize that there are certain puzzles which you are not aware of. So for that, there are 2 books which I'll be recommending you, assuming that you are writing CAT in 2025. In 24, whatever you have done, just practice that. But if you're attempting it the next year, then there are 2 books which must be referred to. One is called Puzzles to Puzzle You. Puzzles to Puzzle You by Shakuntala Devi, a great logician. And there's also one more book by George Summers. So you can find these PDFs on the website called ScriptD. Okay, ScriptD, and you can actually refer to them. Well, so that will give you insight into different kind of puzzles which can be formed. By the way, they won't be asking you questions, because in Puzzles to Puzzle You or George Summers, you will find puzzles which are not that difficult when compared to CAT. They can be difficult, but they're not very huge. They don't have much words. They don't have much information, just like CAT. But this will give you enough insight into how your brain should work while looking at some kind of data element. That is why these books are very, very, very important. Calculation density in DI. Exactly. All of us know that CAT gives us online calculator. There's an access to online calculator. It is in the top right corner. You can click on that. Calculator opens up. It's not scientific calculator, it's basic calculator. So you can multiply, divide, add, subtract, etc. So there are, and because they have calculator, that is the reason CAT can give you questions in which there's a lot of calculation intensity. They can be very much, calculation intensive sets in DI because they have given you the calculator. Okay. So when you look at this, you will realize that how and why calculators should be used. More than that, when should they be used? If you start using them for multiplying 22 and 23, that won't make much sense, because you'll be wasting 5 seconds, which could be done in 1 second by mental maths. Well, theta questions, again, type in the answer, level of difficulty. That is kind of obvious and universal for all the subsections. Coming to QA, quantitative aptitude. They do not call it mathematics or numerical ability. They call it quantitative aptitude. So basically, do you have that aptitude through which you can measure or quantify the things given to you? That is what they essentially mean. So if you analyze your PYQs, the first thing that you'll get access to is weightage to different topics. And if you do that, you'll realize that arithmetic, algebra are 2 topics which cover up more than 60% of the entire CAT. I won't say syllabus, but in terms of questions, they cover like more than 60% of questions. That is something, as I told you, now it is chaotic, but still we are able to find some kind of pattern. Now, why does that happen? You will be asking me, probably, I'll be thinking right now that he said there is no pattern, there is no chaos, there is always chaos is there. It is always randomness. Then how is he so sure about arithmetic and algebra being more than 60%? The thing is, arithmetic in itself is a cluster. And in arithmetic, there are 9 different topics. So if I go by that logic, percentages and ratio are the building blocks of entire arithmetic. So if they ask anything, be it time, speed, distance questions, so they are basically asking questions of percentage and ratios only in different formats. Formats can be time and work, time, speed and distance, mixtures and allegations. So essentially they are asking about two building blocks in different formats, and that is the kind of the pattern which you can see that they will be asking something connected to percentages and ratios. The entire arithmetic is based on only these two topics. Algebra. Now algebra in Hindi is called Bij Ganit. Bij means seed, so it's the origin of entire mathematics, right? So if it is the origin, automatically, if someone creates a question paper, they would want to know whether this person understands the mathematics or the quantitative aptitude from the root, from the seed. And that is why algebra cannot be having less weightage than other topics. That is the reason. And you will realize it the moment you see all the questions in the PYQs. Then again, intensity of calculation in arithmetic. In arithmetic, we can have a lot of calculation, or in algebra or geometry, because arithmetic actually has commercial maths is there, profit loss discount is there, time, speed, distance, there a lot of calculation can be there, and you will realize whether you need to use calculator or not. Cheat codes. I'll talk about this, cheat codes. Theta questions, type in the answer, lot of difficulty. Cheat codes. Let's understand that. Do cheat codes work? By the way, there can be many cheat codes, and in my last 11 years of more than a decade experience of active teaching for MBA entrance exams, I have come across different cheat codes. First is induction. And if you understand mathematics purely, you would be realizing there are three ways to prove something, prove or disprove something. One is induction, then we have contradiction, and then we have pigeonhole principle. Sounds technical, right? But induction is something which will be helping you a lot in algebra, in some cases geometry as well. So when you look at the questions, PYQs, or probably look at the solutions, you'll be realizing there are a lot of things which can be done through induction even if you don't know much about it. Properties of numbers. This is very important. This can act as a cheat code. How? See, if I ask you, let's multiply 37 and 15. So normally you'll use calculator, or maybe you'll be using it the way you did when you were kids. 37 is a number that is a property, a very beautiful property. It divides a number into three equal parts. 15 will, three equal parts, 5 each. So this will be equal to 5, 5, 5. Such a nice thing. Of course, if it is divisible, 37 into 16 is not possible. Again, 37 multiplied by 27. Three equal parts of 27 are 999. This will be the answer. So there are a lot of such stuff, a lot of such things, the properties of numbers, the multiplication, the division, which will be taught to you, or probably you can learn it yourself by calculating a lot. And that is one reason I always discourage my students to use calculators, because once they start calculating on their own, they'll be able to find the patterns. If not, then of course we are there. Calculation techniques. Grammar rules. Yes, grammar rules sometimes, in RC, grammar rules are of course important because a language is built by a grammar. But grammar rules can be very much useful for the VA section, parajumbles, odd one out, para summary, and the fill in the blanks. So then the grammar rules, there are a lot of pronoun can come only after the noun. You cannot start a statement with pronoun without mentioning the noun there. You can start. In some cases you can start, but that is created for, literary surprise. But in normal essays, normal articles, noun should come first, then should be the pronoun. So there are a lot of such grammatical rules will be helping you in solving the questions correctly. Flow of ideas. This is very important in deriving the inference-based questions or critical reasoning-based questions, or also the fill in the blanks. Where should this particular idea be fit inside a huge paragraph? Role play. Role play. So, when I was preparing for CAT myself, the first time when I was writing CAT, in fact I do it today itself, today also. So there is a, let's say, question on dishonest shopkeepers. You know what I do? I try to act like that dishonest shopkeeper. Things become easy for me. So while solving the question, I feel like, oh, I am that dishonest shopkeeper. Let me cheat everyone. I do that. When I do that, it becomes very easy for me to calculate the percentages. The moment I am detached from the roles that the characters are playing inside a question. So you should always treat a question statement problem like a story. Just like a story. You connect to like you read the novels, you connect to the characters, isn't it? Some character dies, you cry. Yeah. So in arithmetic, there are a lot of instances where you can actually play the character that is there in the problem statement. Same can happen in LRDI and in some cases VRC as well. So this is a cheat code which is highly psychological. People rarely talk about it, but there's something which I've always felt this might be new to you, but that's actually helps. Do that and you'll realize that it is kind of very useful. Well, so summarizing everything, the 3 steps. One is attempt the PYQs as suggested, analyze them via text and video solutions. In LRDI, video solutions are very helpful. And they're required as well, because LRDI is something in which, for example, if I have to solve some LRDI set, I might take only 5 minutes. But if I want to explain it to someone, I might take an hour. Right? Because a lot of thinking goes into, mind of some experts who are problem solvers. They have been doing it for years. They have practiced a lot. So it has become kind of habitual for a person like me. But someone who is doing it for the first time might not be habitual, and that is why they need to look at every step, every insight, every hidden meaning, which is or the hidden you would say pointers which are going inside the mind, inside the brain. That is why video solutions in LRDI specifically are very important. So analyze them via them and solve some of them as mocks. So when I said like that, I will suggest you 2017 to 2023 papers you should be solving. So solve 3 of them the way I told you and solve the remaining 3 of them as mocks. So at iQuanta dashboard, if you go, there is a section in which free material is given. Free mini mocks, free past papers, year-wise, free topic-wise PYQs. So if you want to solve something topic-wise, not year-wise, you can click here and do that. And so this is how you can kind of look at all the PYQs. So there's one thing, the agenda of this video was making you understand that if you are starting the preparation for CAT, the first step should be, at least one of the first steps should be looking at the PYQs, analyzing them clearly. I'm also making some videos on Quant Master Plan, LRDA Master Plan, where I will talk about this again in a short, concise manner. I'll be telling you what all steps are required to have a master plan to crack QA, LRDA and BRC efficiently. Stay tuned to this space. Thank you.